Welcome to the south coast of Cornwall, where today we're going to be taking out the Kaboat made by Maelstrom products. This is a really interesting little boat. I've had it for about a month now and I've got a fair bit of use out of it. And as well as doing a bit of fishing today, we're just going to talk about, well, what this boat is and what it's good at and maybe what it's not so good at. And yeah, just sort of see if this can be an alternative to a sib, perhaps even a kayak, and also catch some fish along the way on this rather overcast, windy July day. There's plenty of mackerel and bass and pollock about, so we're going to be focusing just on the lures. We're keeping things really light today. That's the whole idea of a boat like this. Keep things nice and light, keep moving around, find the fish, and well, as you can see, it's quite shallow here behind me, so we best get on with it and get the boat on the water. We've got the tide going with us, so we're racing down here now. But yeah, we're literally in a foot of water, if not less, and doing just fine with this. Quite a nice way to get out. When we move down the river a bit more and it starts to get a bit deeper, we'll drop the engine. So I've just paddled from the slipway there to the opening of the river here. It was really quite easy. This boat has such a shallow draft, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. But when it comes to paddling, it makes it very easy. And we also have the tide pushing us down. So just doing a paddle stroke like this, we were doing like 3 or 4 knots with the tide there. Yeah, very relaxing, very easy. Not many other boats doing that right now. So I'm going to lock the oar back into place there. It does have row locks, the Kaboat, so you could in theory sit on the bench in the middle here and row 2 at a time, but I'm not trying to go at any crazy speeds with the paddle, so just doing it kneeling like that, I find that very comfortable as someone that hasn't rown much. I'm just going to lower the engine here. This motor is a well, it's a dirty motor. It's covered in mackerel scales at the moment, which is lovely. But it's an Orca 6 horsepower, and there's quite a bit of controversy around these Chinese knockoff motors. And I don't want to say too much because I've only used it for a month, but it's all right. That's about it, really. It's all right. It gets you from A to B. I've not had any issues with reliability personally, but then again, I've only used it for a month, and the build quality seems all right. So yeah, of course it's nothing compared to the Tohatsu that I owned previously. It is not a touch on that, but it's a decent little motor, and at 6 horsepower it pushes this boat along fantastically. I said in my previous video that I think an 8 horsepower would be the sweet spot. With 2 up, 8 horsepower is going to be the sweet spot because you'll get on the plane comfortably no matter what. This 6 horsepower will get this boat on the plane, but you need the sort of prevailing conditions to be working with you. It won't get up on the plane if you're going into wind and tide, but if you've got it following you, then it will. So of course we're doing a bit of fishing today. It wouldn't be right if we didn't. And I love this bit of coast here. I mean, you really don't have to go far to find some really nice ground. And it's practically low tide at the moment, so it's all really shallow around here. It's not going to get much deeper than 3 meters, but this boat is perfect for accessing it all. I do not have to worry about the draft one bit. I've got my polarized glasses here so I can see the rocks and the kelp beds coming up, and I can avoid them if I need to. I don't have a fish finder, don't need one. I can just look in the water and look around and fish all these cool rocks. Gone really light. We just got a rod each today, but they're only little rods. This is Tailwalk Boat Gamer. It's such a nice rod, this. I've said it before, but I'll say it again because it really is a peach of a rod. And it's rated to max 9-gram lure, but I'm working what is essentially like a 17-gram crazy paddle tail here. It's got a 15-gram head in the lovely, I think this is like a green glitter. I'm not exactly sure what the colour pattern's called, but it's beautiful and it works really well. So what I'm doing here is I'm standing up, and it's actually quite alright to stand up in this thing. And this is only a short little rod, 7'6". I've got a 3000 pen on here, goes with it all right. Could be a bit smaller. And I'm just placing that crazy paddle tail nice and close to the structure, not giving it much time to sink at all because it's not deep at all here. And I'm just giving it a nice gentle retrieve, trying to imitate the fleeing sand eel, of which there are so many at this time of year. I can move around all right, I can redirect myself into the position I want to stand in. Really quite comfortable right now, and there's not a lot of swell here at all. I would almost go to say there's zero swell because we've got an offshore breeze. There's zero swell pretty much, and just a little bit of wind chop. But it's all right, it's quite comfortable. And yeah, to stand and fish like this, it's really quite nice. Here we go, guys, we're into the first fish of the session, and it's actually pulling really well, this. Almost wasn't expecting it here, and I'm on this light little rod. It's so much fun when you go a bit lighter. And yeah, just slammed it. This is a decent bass, I've just seen it actually. It's a really decent bass. Pulling well as well. There we go. Just changed my lure up to something a bit heavier because we're in some deeper water here, and it slammed it. That's a lovely bar right there. And of course I've left the net behind today, but should be able to grab this guy in the lip. It's such a good condition fish, this. I can see it, it's beautiful. And he's just lip up there. See if I can grab him. Guys, this is a lovely fish, awesome to catch. There we go, awesome. Look at that, there's a beautiful bar of silver. I've been catching a fair few of these since I've been back the past month, and it just never gets old catching these. They're such beautiful fish. They fight so well, and you know, just I'm trying to catch them from a young lad and not having much success to being able to pull a few out now. It's so much fun, but just look at that fish, it's beautiful. Smashed the fish crazy paddle tail there. Perfect hookup right in the top of the lip. It was never coming out from there. Let's get this guy unhooked, and we're going to slip this guy back, I think, because it's a lovely fish and would do perfectly for dinner, but I always think it's a good omen if you release the first fish for the rest of the session. And I'm not against keeping bass, but this one is going to go back. All right, let's do it. Oh, I love it. That was so much fun. All right, let's get some more. There we go, guys. Didn't take long to pick up another fish on the drift here. This might be more of a wrasse. Yeah, it is. It's a really good wrasse. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. He's just in the boat. Oh, it's a really good wrasse. Bound to happen when you're fishing in the shallow kelp here. This is actually a really good fish. Really beautiful colours on these fish. You can see him finning up there on the surface. Yeah, I didn't think he was quite done. Whoa, look at that rod hooked over. Trying to keep him out of the kelp, please. Just about. Beautiful fish, as always. So much fun to catch in the shallow water. I don't like targeting wrasse in deep water because they just struggle so much. Beautiful fish, isn't it? The colours on the fins and the belly, I just think it's amazing how they change so much. But I love catching these fish here in Cornwall in the shallow water, and they smash these crazy paddle tails like nothing else. It's nice when you can get them lip hooked like that because they just pop out nice and easy and it doesn't destroy the lure. So real quick, one last time. Beautiful ballon wrasse, and he's going to go back just like that. Wicked. All right, just coming into this little gap in the rocks here for a spot of lunch. Thought we might be able to find some shelter from the wind by the cliffs behind us on the rocks. But yeah, super convenient being able to pull this thing into little gullies like this. Yeah, well, you wouldn't really fit much else in here, but yeah, it just slides in lovely, as you can see. So really nice and calm in here. Perfect for a little break. As yeah, when you're on something like this, it is small and you are a bit crammed in. There's no way around that, unfortunately. It's just the nature of the craft. You can stand up and stretch your legs, and you know, it is 4.5 meters long, so it's not like you're really scrunched up, but it's just nice to get out and go for a little walk when you've been on it for an hour or two. Let's see what we're going to do now. Alright, so we're about half a mile offshore now, maybe a little bit more even, and we've got an offshore wind today, and the speed that we're going at is quite something really. We're probably doing around 2 knots just from the wind drift, and yeah, it's not ideal for fishing, and you know, if you had to paddle against this, it would be hard work, but that is one of the sort of characteristics of this boat, if you like, the fact that it's got such a shallow draft and these big tubes. These tubes catch the wind and there's nothing really to slow it down, so it will drift really quickly. I kind of like that for some of the fishing, especially getting in close to the rocks and being really close. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, a little bit different, but when you're out on the open sea and you've not got any shelter from the land, you're just going to drift so quickly it will make life difficult. Alright, let's get a bit closer in and crack on with some fishing. Alright, well, I picked something up on the jig here. Probably a pollock. A wrasse, another wrasse, guys. Picked a wrasse up on the jig here. This one's completely different colour. It's like quite a pinky brown one. Much smaller, still beautiful. And just nicked in the lip there. Jigs are actually quite effective lures for wrasse, so not too surprising. Beautiful fish, and I'm just gonna release it nice and quickly like that. Yeah, that was on the new fish Hypnocast, 20 grams, and all I'm doing here, I'm just giving it a little flick, maybe 5 meters ahead of us here, so probably in about 15 meters of water, near that, between 10 and 15, over a bit of sort of mixed ground, and just letting that line up until it goes slack. We've actually drifted over. I should have flicked it a bit further ahead. I'm just giving the rod little bounces like that, and looking for that slack line, and that is how the jig's working there. I might have had a bite there, either a bite or the bottom. That slack line is really important because that's when the jig's on the fall and it's getting the most amount of movement. Really effective on this light rod. A lot of fun. Well, the day is ending just as it started, with not a lot of water and me using the paddle just to get us that last little bit of the way back to the slipway. There's not many other times you could do this, but it's nice to take advantage of it. Just got the tide in coming here, and it's been an interesting day on this boat. Always good to try new things out and sort of see for yourself how they are. And yeah, I think this boat has many uses, and it could be really ideal for some people that are looking for a lighter setup than a SIB, something that is just less hassle to move around and set up, and isn't so fussed about either taking lots of people out or going a long ways off. But yeah, this boat does have its own capabilities and pretty impressive. I think it's time to pack it up and yeah. Cheers, see you on the next one.